Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pucking Around. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to do some league talk to lead off, give some opinions about how the league is going and how the divisions are forming up. We're going to talk about the Four Nations rosters, which are expected to be revealed on Wednesday, but I believe they had to be handed in today and finalized. So we're going to give our opinions on the projected rosters before we know them. And we're going to talk about the dopes at D.O.P.S, and we're going to tell you how dopey they are and inconsistent, and we're just going to give our opinions on that. If you know who I am, you know my opinion, and that's all right here at Pucking Around. Starts right now. Whatever you do, don't expose yourself.
All right, do you have the yips? Like, I don't know. Like,
this has gone off the rails.
I'll give you a round of fisticuffs.
I'm a man of a people. I follow the rules.
yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome in.
Yo.
I am joined for the podcast. It's going to be a good one because I got a lot of energy today, if you can't tell. And right up there, whose face is now permanently, I don't know why he's always hiding, Matt, my regular co-host over at Talkin' Habs.
Yo.
And to the, get the other finger, to the, I guess you're to my right?
Right, you can do it, right.
I don't know. I can't tell from here. And that's Alex. And he's the host of Flyer Gonna Flyra and other things.
Just a few other things. But listen, you can play that theme song a million times, and I'm always going to vibe to it. I was dancing as it was playing. I had to stop before we all entered the thing, but, I'm always going to be vibing to that theme song. It's great.
I like that. I like that intro. I don't know about copyright on it, but right now it plays nice. It's a good intro that Vogel made. All right, so we're gonna lead off with who's leading off the league talk.
I'll lead us into it. So things are getting interesting around the NHL right now. We just hit the quarter of the season mark, so right around a little after American Thanksgiving, as we like to talk. This is usually the point where most, not all, but most teams that are in the playoffs, usually up for the most part solidified. There might be 3 or 4 moving pieces, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. We're going to be getting into other stuff around the league. And one major piece of news happened this week has been surrounding the Columbus Blue Jackets for quite some time right now. It was around their prospect, David Jiricek, who was finally traded this weekend. What's the word I'm looking for? That saga has finally been resolved, and he is now a Minnesota Wild. He was sent over there for him in a 5th-round pick, I believe it was in this year's draft, and in return, the Columbus Blue Jackets received Damian Hunt, a 2025 first, a 2027 second, a 2026 third, that was originally the Colorado Avalanches, and a 2027 fourth. So a lot of moving pieces in this deal. It looks like there's mixed opinions on it, but I feel like more people than not don't think the Columbus Blue Jackets quite got fair value, especially for where Jiricek was drafted and what he could project to potentially be. So before I give my opinion, I'm going to lead me over to one of my co-hosts tonight, Mr. Matt Norton. Matt, give me your opinion on this trade. What do you think about it?
Well, look, I think the Wild kind of won this trade. Granted, the return for Jiricek isn't terrible, but I think for a former, what was he, sixth overall?
Correct.
I think you could get a little bit more there, but I think the Wild got another really good young piece to add to an already young but very good decor. I think Bill Guerin wins this trade, and the Wild are just going to continue to be good, really, really good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to feed off of that as well. I also believe that the Minnesota Wild won this trade. They seem like they got a absolutely blossoming young core there forming. They drafted Z. Boynham in this year's draft. Now you add in a guy like Jiricek. You have Faber there as well. They got a lot of young pieces ready to pretty much mesh into things. And then you also got Kaprizov, who is looking like, in my opinion, the Hart favorite up to this point. I mean, we're still very early in the season. We've only played probably about, I'd say, maybe 30% of the games. So obviously things can change. But at this point in time, I think the Wild look like they're setting themselves up well for the future, especially with Parise and Suter coming off the books in the upcoming months. The guy they received, Damian Hunt, I did a little research onto this guy. He's not really done too much out with the Iowa Wild in 9 games. He's only got 4 assists, -1. Last year, 51 games, 3 goals, 26 assists. He's kind of a B prospect from what I've read. He's not anything to really write home about. Now he's on the Cleveland Monsters, obviously, after this trade. Left shot defenseman, so we'll see how that mixes up with the Wild. They got, with the Columbus Blue Jackets, I'm sorry. So they've got some pieces at Columbus, but at the same time, I don't think they got enough. The first round pick they got from the Minnesota Wild is top 5 protected, not like they're going to be a bottom 5 team.
No, that pick's probably going to be in the mid to late 20s.
Yes, I agree. I think Minnesota likely will be somewhere between 25, 28. They're currently first in the league right now, so based off of that, it'd be 32. But, we'll see. Realistically, they're probably at the bare minimum a second-round team this year, the way they're looking at this point in time. Again, things can change. So I don't think Columbus is going to hit full value on that first-round pick. And then obviously you got a second and a fourth out in 2027, 2 years from now. And don't know where you see the value of that. I'm assuming Minnesota is ready to ramp up to push for contention status with all that cap freeing up and all the young pieces that they have coming up. So this is a team, I don't think that's going to be seeing the bottom of the league anytime soon. And then you got a guy like Jiricek, as Matt mentioned, former number 6 overall pick in the 2022 draft. This is a guy that has number 1 defenseman potential, in my opinion. I think he really excels on the defensive side of the game. I think he could use work on his offensive game still, but he's very young. He's got a lot of potential. I think he's only 20. And I was quite surprised how things went with Columbus, because this is actually who I wanted the Flyers to draft back in 2022 before we drafted he who shall not be named. But yeah, that was this whole saga was very surprising to me. Rick, how about you? Do you have any thoughts on this trade?
Yeah, I'm the opposite of you guys. When in Jiricek's draft year, I do prospect videos for before the draft for the Habs. Jiricek was I think we had the top 5. I don't know if it was what year was it? It wasn't Slav's year, was it?
22 he was drafted. 2022 sorry? He was drafted.
Well, 2 years ago, right? So we had the number 5 pick.
Mm-hmm.
From what I remember from his scouting reports, I didn't want Montreal to pick the guy. So what I'm
the number 1 pick back here.
You guys,
yeah, we went first overall. Slav year.
That was a Slav year.
It was but it was Reinbacher.
No.
Jiricek was drafted the same year Slav was. We were first overall.
Okay, so fine. So we were first overall. So still, he was considered in that area. So I looked at his. I didn't do a video on him because of what I saw in his scouting reports. I think he was a bit overrated. A lot of scouts thought he would go a lot later. So now what I'm asking you guys is, you're saying it's kind of like the return they got, not great and all that. Maybe there's a reason that it's not great return. Maybe that's the reason why you're looking at it. Yeah, it's a so-so return. It's whatever. Well, maybe that's because that's how Minnesota felt. And if they got it, then the other teams didn't even feel like that and gave a worse. So I'm saying I don't think he's like, I don't think it was such a big win. Now, he's a young kid and a defenseman. 5 years down the road, like 2, 3, whatever, sure, he could maybe turn around and it could turn out to be wrong. That what I'm saying, but I'm remembering from the scouting report, and then I look at the return they got, and like no other team could have given them a better prospect.
So it's interesting you mentioned this. So the Minnesota Wild were not the only team obviously interested.
No, there were like 7 teams at one
Yeah,
point. They were
there's
saying
2 other names that were mentioned today. I believe it was Frank Saravani that mentioned this. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Philadelphia Flyers are the next 2 closest teams.
Okay.
But Columbus was not interested in trading him within the division. The only way they would have sent him to either of those 2 teams, at least in this instance, was at a significantly higher offer than what Minnesota was trading.
And that
they
makes
were
sense.
more interested in pushing him out west.
Teams in general don't like to trade within their division.
Agreed. It does happen, but it's not that often.
Not big ones. Not big trades. Small trades happen, but big ones don't usually happen.
I feel like trades like that aren't going to happen in season. If there's going to be an interdivisional trade, unless if it's a smaller trade, as you mentioned, that sounds more of an off-season thing. We pulled the blockbuster off with Columbus 2 years ago when we got rid of Provorov.
Right.
And that went very well for us and very bad for them. But that's a story for another day. But point being here is they were adamant to send him out west. And when that news bulletin was dropped, I think it was pretty apparent that teams like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh were going to have to give an arm, a leg, and 3 fingers if they had any possible hope of bringing in a talent like Jiricek. But you know what? We're not going to truly know what this kid is.
Minnesota didn't give up an arm and a leg and 3 fingers.
They just gave up the arm.
Not really. Not real. I don't see that. The first round pick is going to be a late first round pick. Not great. The other rounds, like one's in 27. Like this is not a great package.
Yeah, and I mean at that point too, those picks are just magic beans.
6th overall pick. It's not a great package.
No, I'm in agreement with you. When I say arm, a leg, and 3 fingers, I'm saying that's a lot. I probably could have used a better.
My feeling is Columbus picked him too early. He went higher than he should have. That's why he's that high.
Certainly
but the return you're seeing that they're getting is for a guy that was picked later.
It's quite surprising because at the time of the draft, Jiricek was projected to be a top 10 pick.
The scouting reports weren't like that cut and dried. I'm sorry. For me, more people were leaning towards his skill set might not be an NHL skill set, and he had some deficiencies that were bad. I can't remember specifics, but I looked at that guy and went, nope, he's not coming here. We don't want him.
Yeah, I know his offensive game was definitely limited from what I read.
I think that,
his play in his zone is that of a potential. Obviously, it's not definite, but
he's the younger brother of, I don't know the guy's first name, but another Jiricek.
Adam
Jiricek.
Okay, and apparently might have gotten a lot of people seeing him in a different light, like better than he is because of that. But maybe I don't know the other player so that well, but that's what I remember from the scouting report. So for me, Jiricek was always a guy that like I was glad Montreal didn't pick.
I'm going to be honest. I was hot, me personally, at least at the time, I was high on him in 2022 because the Flyers needed a defenseman. He was probably my number 2 defenseman on the board, only behind. I'm blanking on
probably Nemec. I think Nemec.
Yeah, Nemec, exactly.
No.
New Jersey picked.
Some people were of that mind, but I found more anyway, I thought it was more like leaning towards he should have gone about 10 spots farther down.
Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see where things go from here with him because he's a raw talent. You're going for what you're going to have 3 to 4 years from now, bare minimum, not right now. He's going to be developing out in with the Iowa Wild for a while. I got the teams mixed up earlier. He's now with the Iowa Wild. He was with the Cleveland Monsters before. But
it seems to me the return was like, this is a guy that he may work out, he may not.
Yeah.
But so we're not going to give too much. But, I don't know. And that Columbus took it, to me, says that was the best offer. They felt that was the best offer. So other teams, to me, it kind of reads as other teams thought the same way. And
I
we're
will
going to
say
give
this.
crazy amounts.
I
together.
respect the Wild for pulling the trigger because it's a chance. It's absolutely a risk.
They've got a good defense already. Then a guy like this coming in, it's not as big of a problem. If you're skimpy on defense and you expect this guy to be the guy, you're not looking to do that with this guy, I don't think.
I look at this as a risk for the sheer fact that if this works out, that decor is going to be ridiculous when it hits its
Sure, and that's, again, that's why I kind of lean more towards the Wild here. But again, the Blue Jackets are a team that's still going to be building for a while. So, I mean, the draft capital helps. I mean, I know, the other picks aren't for a while, but still, draft capital helps. But yeah, I think if this works out for the Wild, they're, like I said in the group chat, I think, you look at the next decade of the NHL, they're going to be right up there with like the Habs decor, in terms of how good, they could potentially be.
I just think if he was that guy and so many teams thought he was that good, that they'd have gotten a better return.
Well, I know that they asked the Habs for a first in Joshua Waugh, and Kent Hughes click on the phone right up.
Right. Well, there you go. I mean, also Montreal doesn't desperately need the defense.
Well, right.
So.
They wanted, I believe, Luchenko and Bonk from the Flyers. And yeah, I'm going Klink with that as well because that's probably our best two prospects right now.
Think of that. Look what they asked our two teams for, but look what they took.
And that's why I say they were more adamant about moving him out west to take a little bit lesser of a package. Because I would have moved Bonk personally and maybe a pick, but I'm not moving both. Fuck that.
I see that they didn't get what they were hoping to get for him because the other teams didn't feel that he was worth that. Right? He was worth a package, but not, like what they got. That's because that's what they got. If he was better than that, other teams, somebody would have given him more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that way. That's my opinion.
I agree. I feel like this could have been something that could have definitely turned into more of an arms race if they wanted to, especially push this off to the deadline. But this was something that they wanted to resolve sooner rather than later. I don't think Columbus's upper management has been good, even with their old GM. And now with Don Wendell there,
I agree with that.
I don't think Wendell is going to be the guy either. He was good in Carolina, but now suddenly here in Columbus, this is going to be the first move you make.
It seems like Columbus is not good at making trades. So I'll give you there's some of that. There is some of that. But I still feel that's a very underwhelming package. So
I don't know how I feel about their scouts.
It could be that it's the management doesn't know how to make trades. But I remember what his scouting report said and all that. So to me, I put it together this way.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. Like I could be 100% wrong. 4 years down the road, we hear Jiricek. Wow, it wouldn't surprise me either.
I will say
it might be the scouts too.
My final thought with this is Columbus better hope that they get something from Damian Hunt. Because based off of what I'm seeing, this guy's maybe a B prospect. And if you're moving a guy with the potential of what Jiricek could have, you better feel confident in A, the guy you got, and B, you better hope that first round pick you use, or at least one of those later picks at least, hits to equal out to something of that degree.
True. Listen, if they misjudged Jiricek, it's very possible they misjudged the guy that's coming back. And they think he's better than he is. Like it could be that. I don't know. But time will tell. Because, Jiricek, he'll get a shot. They gave up something for this kid. They're going to give this kid a shot down the road, whether it takes 2, 3, or 4 years, right? That's when we'll know. And in defensemen, as I say, some defensemen take 5 or 6 years to develop after their draft year. So,
right. No, you're absolutely right. But because like I said, I do want to talk about their scouts a little bit, and again, like you said, sort of misjudging things. Like I think they're also sort of in a situation like that with Caleb Lidstrom, and not a talent-wise, but
back.
Right. His back issues, I think, are a lot worse than what we thought. And we did talk about this leading up to the draft because obviously Lidstrom was a name.
Yeah, who was
that
the
was
first
talked
one
about
on
with the Canadians, and we had talked about, well, he does have some back issues. How bad are those? Obviously, we don't
know. Remember how that worked out?
The teams have more in depth. Right. Well, the teams have more in depth scouting reports on them, so but. I know you and I had both said, if it's between like a Lidstrom and a Demidov or something like that, you probably lean away from Lidstrom. Yeah, he's a big center, but
I called it in a video.
With those
They're
back
not taking
problems.
Lindstrom because of his back. I received comments like, his back is nothing. You're going to take him.
Back is always something.
The back turned out to be right. It turned out to be a problem.
He just had another procedure on it, didn't he, this year?
Well, that's what Rick and I talked about this a few when that came up, and I said, looks like you and I both hit the nail on the head on this.
I was right
because the back issues can either be something that you can manage or just something that just completely runs off the rails. And if he's already this is his second back procedure now, and at his age, like that,
it could be a guy. He might take a couple of years to recover from whatever it is. But from what I remember reading about it, this is a chronic issue.
Yeah,
and he's probably going to have this issue his whole career.
Well, especially at his size, right? And that was the concern, right? Like at his size, if he's already having back problems.
Yep, because it was nothing about his skill. His skill set was great, but that back issue was a problem at his size, and his game, his style of game.
Mm-hmm.
Was going to be a problem, and it turned out it was pretty quick.
Well,
anyways, that's my last thought on that, I think.
Well, with that being said, I think we addressed what we needed to do with this Jiricek trade. Let's move into a little bit of league talk. Let's segue into the Metropolitan, since Columbus seems to be the topic of conversation right now. With the moves they've made, there's been question, but their on-ice product hasn't been too bad right now. Columbus has been one of those teams so far that has really surprised some teams. They're 11-9-1 right now, currently 6th in the division. 11-9-3, I'm sorry. 11-9-3 right now, 6th in the division. They're sitting only 2 points out of a playoff spot. By playoff percentage, they currently are in a playoff spot. Kent Johnson, Vogel's favorite player.
Fuck Kent Johnson.
Completely taken off this year. He does not like him. But Kent Johnson, he doesn't care. He even said, and I'm going to take that personally.
It's funny how that came up. So
what is he up to? 12 straight games on a point? That kid is surging right now.
Which team?
Yeah, he's on a lengthy point streak, I believe.
Who?
So, go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
Who are you saying is on a point streak?
Kent Johnson.
Oh, yeah. He's a good player.
He is. He's broken out this year. Like I said, I am positive this man heard this podcast and he heard what Vogel had to say about him, and he goes, "Oh, okay, that's how it is. Okay." He did that meme where he leans forward in the video games, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna play for real now. I'll show you, fucks.
No, listen.
I'll fucking show you."
The truth is, Kent Johnson's a good player. Like, he was supposed to be a good player. Yeah. I don't know how long he's in the league, and it came about in a funny way. Our thing about fuck Kent Johnson. It came about in a funny way. It's not Vogel doesn't hate him, but
no, it's just he was looking for people that we all like. A few months ago, we did an episode of players we don't like in the league, and Vogel
draft picks.
He picked Kent Johnson.
It was something about draft picks that didn't pan. I don't know.
Didn't pan out. Yes.
No, that whatever it was, but that's it. And he picked, and it was that's how it came about.
I think that one is aging like some milk left in the Sahara for a month. Is that what?
Yeah, definitely. But it is still funny that when we just say,
you know who is also taken off this year, and I think is going to potentially find himself in this Four Nations tournament that we'll be getting to shortly, is Zach Werenski. This dude has been balls to the walls this year, up to 26 points already this year, 8 goals and 18 assists, plus 12 as a defenseman. plus 12 on a Columbus team.
On Columbus,
That's impressive. This kid
Werenski
is
definitely. Yeah.
He has taken that step forward this year to really be a true number one defenseman. There were questions about Werenski's health over the last couple of years. He's dealt with a few injuries,
Yeah.
but he's been healthy this year. He's turned it up to another level, and he's a big reason why Columbus is where they are right now, only 2 points out of a playoff spot. I said at the beginning of the year it would have been so cool for a team like them to push for a playoff spot in the memory of Johnny Hockey, rest in peace. And I think they have taken what they have pretty much played for one another more than they ever have before and created such a healthy environment for that team that they're rallying around Johnny Hockey's spirit. And, as an outside fan, shit like that is awesome to see in sports.
Yeah.
If we don't make it and they would have taken our playoff spot, I wouldn't be upset. That's awesome. I'd root for Columbus.
I'm kind of the same way. I kind of want to say there's no way that can last, and yet I want it to last because of that. You know what I mean? But realistically, you look at that team and go, that can't last. But maybe it can.
It's crazy, especially that when you see things like this, teams playing for one another. Finding ways to win when you're clearly not as talented as the opposition. But you look at one another and you say to yourself, man, we're better than I thought we were. We're riding this high right now. This is a team that could do something.
I honestly don't think you even look at it like that. It's more like every game, I'm fighting for you. You're fighting for, you're fighting for each other out there. Every play, you're playing that hard. If you're playing like that, with the parity in the league too, right? With the parity in the league, how much worse are they than some of the other teams, right? They're not. So if you're playing like that for each other with that kind of bond, sky's the limit. And in that case, making the playoffs like as a wild card would be the sky and the limit, I think. But I want to say that no way that can last, and yet I do want it to last.
This is where I talk about teams on paper versus what they show on the ice. On paper, you don't expect them to be this good.
No, that's why they play the games.
That's exactly why you play the game. You look at a guy like Sean Monahan, 8 goals, 14 assists in 22 games this year. You damn well know a guy like him is playing around this team. He was so damn close to Johnny Hockey. That was the whole reason he signed there.
That's the reason he signed there. That's right.
Yeah, Kirill Marchenko, 10 goals, 14 assists. He's having a bit of a breakout year this year. A guy I've been high on for a little bit, Cole Sillinger, he's got 15 points right now. These are guys that are kind of taking a step and showing that they are providing more than they can. I still need to see more from guys like Adam Fantilli. He's only got 12 points right now. Mind you, it's only his second year in the league.
Yeah, he's young.
He'll be a little bit of a late bloomer, but he'll be worth it in the long run. But having a potential number one center like that, who you're going to eventually get more out of, is going to be big. It's going to be big for a team, for the league and your team long term.
Okay, let's move out of the Metropolitan because we're taking too much time, and let's find one team in each of the other divisions to do this talk about. The Central Division. Let's go to there. Which one should it be? Because there's a few teams in there we could talk about.
We could beat the dead horse on Nashville.
But yeah,
we'll save them a little bit of pain. They're going through it.
Let's go to Colorado.
They're going through a lot of things right now.
Let's go to Colorado because they're holding currently the fourth spot. They had so many injuries and stuff. Like they didn't look like they'd be a team again that we're going to be able to hold a playoff spot there. Goaltending, the injuries, it was just, and they just made a trade. Not a big one, but they just made a trade. They traded their backup goalie to get Scott Wedgwood.
Yep.
So there's something to talk about. Because if I remember, his name was Justice Anunin. I didn't know anything about him. I looked at his numbers when we were doing one of the pods, and we were talking about the goalie tandem one. That's it. Guy had good numbers. Like, he had really good numbers. He looked like a solid prospect for a goalie. They traded him away for Scott Wedgwood.
who's what, 5, 6 years older than him?
Yeah, right. I think it's like 6 years older. And is he better? At 6
He's
years
a
older,
career
is he
backup.
better than the young kid? He's not really.
Mhm.
It didn't make any sense, that one. You think that's going to hurt them, or Wedgwood going to step up?
Well, you know what Colorado is? Their goaltending has been horrific all year. Georgiev, analytically, has been the worst goalie in hockey this year.
Right.
He has been
Georgiev
a
was the worst.
cataclysmic disaster.
Yeah.
And,
I know. I drafted him in fantasy, and I got rid of him pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And then obviously Landeskog is still out. I don't know if he's ever going to play again. And now there's the talk of Mikko Rantanen thinking he can make $14 million on the open market. Is Colorado going to be able to afford him?
No, that's why the trade rumors, because I've seen some trade rumors.
Yeah, there's no way they can afford that.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think someone is going to pay that. I don't know. Me personally, I would pay $14 million for a right winger. I'd pay $14 million for a really good center of his quality, but not for a winger.
I'd wait to make sure that the cap's going up by a lot before.
Yeah, well, I mean,
isn't
he set to hit free agency this year, or is it next year? I thought it was this, so they may not have a choice.
Well, right now they're about $8 million over the cap, so
They're fucked.
They're using LTIR money. No, listen, if they're in cap, they've got cap issues. So can they hold this spot?
I don't know. I look at the lines right now. I mean, Lekkonen's not bad. About 1 LW.
Rantanen is a UFA after this year.
Yeah, Casey Middlestat. He's been solid since they acquired him from Buffalo. I like that kid Ivan just because he's got two names that are exactly the same.
Ivan.
But he's been a decent rookie this year. But I don't know. I look at their bottom six. I don't think it's that good. I don't think they got the depth that they need to compete. I mean, Kel McCarr is a superstar. We know that. He may be in consideration for the Hart this year. Never mind the Norris. He continues to be absolutely spectacular. He's, in my opinion, the best player on their team, even ahead of McKinnon, if you had to ask me.
But if your goaltending sucks, it's not going to help you.
Yeah, I mean, you can limit the opportunities that are going to be put on net, but unless if Georgiev can pull his head out of his ass and Wedgwood can be some level of savior, which I don't think he's going to be. Again, he's always been a career backup. What are you going to get out of this?
But maybe they wanted a more experienced backup. I mean, maybe that's what it was, right? They wanted more experience back. But I mean, to trade a goalie for a guy that's 6 years older doesn't make, and not like he's not even a spectacular goalie or anything. He's just 6 years older. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, maybe they bring him in just to push Georgiev. Is he like, listen, you keep this shit up, Wedgwood's taking that job? I mean, look at their injured reserve, too. Landeskog, Colton, Pullman, Miles Wood, Jonathan Druin's out right now. Mason's day-to-day. They've got a lot of injuries. It's, as you mentioned, Rick, like this is a team.
And they're holding a playoff.
They're, in my opinion, I just can't see them realistically make a real playoff run this week, as we went over last week a little bit when we were talking about parity. A team like Colorado, I just can't see them getting healthy, just in general. And even if they were to get healthy, I think their issues in net are going to bite them in the ass unless one of their goalies pulls, a friggin' Stuart Skinner from last year's style of run. I don't know.
No, I kind of doubt that. You think Utah or St. Louis can, like maybe with Jim Montgomery?
St. Louis is interesting because obviously
Montgomery.
with them hiring Jim Montgomery, they could be running the high of a new goalie. I mean, it wouldn't. New coach. Sorry, we was talking about goalies so much that.
Did you see the save Binnington made last night or
2 nights ago? It was against us. It was insane.
Oh, against that. What an insane! I hate the guy.
A couple of them. Honestly, the Flyers outplayed the Blues that game. He was standing on his head to keep that game close.
Yeah, well, that was a crazy good save.
You're talking about the one Couturier shot where he made the diving glove save across the crease.
With the glove.
I couldn't help but just go.
What else can you do?
Hell of a save.
Yeah, it was a good save. Okay.
Yeah, but
I think St. Louis could actually take over and be in fourth instead because
I had St. Louis as last year's Calgary. Now that they hired Binnington, I am completely out on that notion. I mean,
You're getting
Binnington. Now that they hired Montgomery,
Yeah, you're getting the
I'm
names
completely
wrong. Your
on that
name's
motion.
wrong tonight.
Oh my God, I'm getting goalies and coaches mixed up. Now that they hired Montgomery, at least I'm catching myself this time. That notion's out the window, in my opinion. And they brought, if you're bringing in a guy like Montgomery, you're bringing him in to win now. So
Oh yeah. I think St. Louis makes a run at that. Utah with their, they lost 2 defensemen that are whatever, 2 players that are big. I don't know, and they're the Coyotes, so they're still the Coyotes. I think St. Louis can make a run there. I think that's so. We were talking about who could drop out, who could get in. Colorado out, probably St. Louis in.
Colorado's actually not even in technically right now. The first team out, last team in right now, if you want to segue over to the Pacific, is indeed the Calgary Flames.
No, okay, but we're not. I don't think we're not going to do crossovers. Come on.
Well, I mean, it's not a crossover; it's a segue.
Okay, we're segueing into Pacific. That makes sense.
That's what I just said.
Okay, that's fair.
Did Matt go like a friggin' married couple?
No, I'm here.
Right now.
Oh, he's there. Oh, okay.
Well, naughty. Well, since you're here, Mr. Norton, why don't you talk about Calgary for us?
Here you go.
I mean, I haven't really watched him much.
Dustin Wolf.
Rick and I talked about him before the season started. Dustin Wolf's a good goaltender, real good goaltender.
He's been, in my opinion, if you ask me today, I think he's a top 3 Calder finalist right now. He's been remarkable.
I don't know if he's top 3, but he's in there. He's in the top 5, I think, though.
I personally would put him right now, and I know you guys won't like this because obviously you got Hudson, but right now I put him number 3.
He was already, last I saw, he was already ahead of Hudson in that list.
I mean, he's 6th in save percentage. He's, I believe, 16th in goals against average. For a rookie to be 6th in save percentage in a year that we have continuously talked about how much goaltending has been down, that means something to me, realistically. He's got a .918 save percentage. He's got 8 wins. He's got a shutout. He's been stellar. And this is a Calgary team we all talked about at the beginning of the year that we thought would be a bottom feeder. I had them potentially having the first overall pick. And
I didn't have them that low, but yeah, not in the playoffs, that's for sure.
But you look at Calgary, and I do agree with you. I do think they're going to fade. Like, that reality is setting in. I think they've lost 4 straight.
Yeah, they're going to fade. I can't see Calgary.
Dustin Wolf has been good. He's at this point in time, I'd put him as a finalist. I don't know if he lasts there, but if you told me to rank them today, I'd put him there personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
they're tied with Edmonton. So I think Edmonton's very happy that they're tied with Calgary and it's not some other team because it gives them probably a playoff spot. But what about Vancouver? Because everybody was keeping Vancouver high in the standings, even knowing that Thatcher Demko wasn't going to be there, and he is not there, hasn't played a game, and who knows if he's coming back or when. And I am not surprised at all that they're just 1 point up on those 2 teams. And in third.
I mean, when Quinn Hughes has played the way he has this year, if there's anyone that can push Cale Makar for the best defenseman award in the league,
Quinn Hughes for sure.
He won it though Norris last year. He has not missed a beat, and I mean, you look at a guy like Elias Pettersson too. I wonder how bought in he is. He's a guy we talk about guys hitting free agency, and a guy like Elias Pettersson, I could realistically see being a guy potentially test the waters. It's rare.
That didn't already happen? Didn't they re-sign him?
Yeah, They locked him up for like 8 years.
Elias Pettersson got locked up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
They locked him
like that's 8 right. He did get locked up. He got locked up last year, right?
10? Or a little over 10 for 8 years?
He got good money.
Right. I completely forgot about that extension. Yep. Shit. He got locked up last year, now you mention that.
Yeah.
But all right, never mind. That throws that out the window.
Yeah, they weren't letting him walk. That wasn't going to happen.
But I tell you what, it shows you how important Thatcher Demko was to their success last year. Like how we kept saying,
Demko's great goaltender.
can they keep that up? Can they keep? Yeah, they did. But how much of that was due to Thatcher Demko? Because without him, they're barely hanging in there.
Yeah,
Pedersen's got 8 years at 11.6 AAV.
Oof.
Well, actually, 4 more years. So it's a 5-year deal, actually.
He has not lived up to that pace so far.
It's hard to live up to that kind of money, man. That's
21 points in 23 games. Like, I mean, he's been good, but that's not 11.6 mil good.
No,
right?
I agree with that.
Like, you expect a guy like that to take another step. If you're getting 11.6 mil, you better be putting up borderline 100 points a year for me, personally.
Shit, not even just borderline. You're putting up a fucking 100 points a year.
Yeah. I mean, he had 102 points last year. He had 89 2 years ago. He had 89 last year. Right now, he's on pace for about high 70s. You need more from me, man, if you're going to be considered. That's why I question, like, I wonder if a guy like him is entirely bought in. That's why I originally brought in the free agency before I completely thought that he would sign.
He signed for 8 years. He should be bought in.
Oh, no. Yeah. I thought a guy like him would continue to blow up. He's hitting your prime now.
That's the value of Demko, because he's really the only piece that's really missing from that. And then it's affecting all aspects of that team.
Well, they're still 13-7-3. It's not like they're bad. They just haven't been Vancouver of last year.
Right. I mean, there's a big difference. They were by far leading that division last year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're barely in third.
It's going to be – I think the Pacific could be a very interesting division this year. Out of the 4 divisions, that's the one that's going to be the biggest dogfight.
Is it it's the tightest division, I think, top to bottom, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that's 10 points from top to bottom. That's all that's separating all 8 teams. That's pretty tight division. So, yeah, who knows what's going to happen there? To be honest with you, who knows? One thing's pretty sure. You know what? Not even.
Excuse me.
It's hard to tell because, Vancouver has a resurgence. Edmonton, even Calgary, and they could be leading that division.
Mm-hmm. They could. It's going to be that. There's no one team I look at that's going to be far ahead of anyone right now. You predict Edmonton at the beginning of the year. They had a bad start, but they found their game. Now they're in the first wild card. I expect them to end top 3. I could see the Kings fall out of it personally and fall not out of the playoffs, but into a wild card spot more realistically.
Yeah. That's certainly possible.
The top 5, though, that's going to the top 4 is going to come from that top 5 because I can't see the bottom teams moving up.
No, I don't see Calgary sniffing that.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Want to talk about you guys' favorite division, the Atlantic?
The best division in the league. And you know what? Look, in the Atlantic, it's 12 points top to bottom. It's tight. That's pretty tight. If you look at all the divisions, 11 points for the Metro, and the biggest one. Okay, so the Central has the biggest.
Yeah, big gap there.
That's it. But the other 3, they're all 10 to 12 points separating the top to bottom. That's crazy. That shows parity. We were talking about that the other day. That's parity right there. When you got that, there's no gaps of significance top to bottom. Well, I'm just saying, I was right. All right.
We did our argument with that last week.
We did this already. What team we picking out of here?
Why don't we pick your favorite team, the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Why? I mean,
well, it's fun to hear you bash on them for one. But
what's the bash on? They had half the team out injured and they still were winning. How can I bash that?
Wait a minute. Is Rick waving the white flag on
no,
the Leafs?
But I mean, what am I going to bash?
I don't know. If anyone could find a reason to bash the Leafs, it's you.
I'm pissed off. They didn't fall out more with all those injuries, and now Matthews is back, so maybe they'll play worse with Matthews. Maybe they found out.
I was going to say, maybe that's why.
Well, maybe they found out they don't need to give him. They didn't need to sign him to that. Maybe they're better without him.
I'll tell you one thing. They still want Tavares out of there.
Oh, Tavares is one
want to talk about Cook.
Dude's aging like milk.
Yeah, yet they're winning.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a suiting spot for Morgan Frost, to be honest with you. Not to get into massive trade talk right now.
That could be. How much of the Toronto success is Craig Berube?
I think it's significant. I
For
definitely
sure.
think Berube is a big piece of that. He's a hard-ass coach that doesn't take shit.
Yeah.
And he demands respect and hard work from his players. He said at the beginning of the year he wants every game to be treated like a Game 7. And I figured that would lead the Leafs to an 0-82 season.
That's what we all joked, yeah.
But yeah, they are. They're
It's
treating
that attitude. That's what was missing. He's trying to instill the heart that was missing of that team, because that's, to me, what Toronto misses. They have no heart.
I'm not gonna lie, they do worry me a little bit in the playoffs this year. If
Yeah,
that's the case.
I gotta agree.
This
Well, I
could
said it
be-
going in. Berube, he worries me for them to win a playoff series. He worries me that he's the coach, because
I still don't think they're physical enough to keep up with a Florida, but I think they could beat the Bruins if they met them in a series this year, or a Tampa.
first round. I think they can win a first round. I don't like
Right.
saying it. I really don't.
They
but-
need to hope that Florida gets upset in the second rounds before their daddies give them a spanking. But,
No, true. But I mean, the fact that they had so many injuries, still winning,
yeah.
that shows you their depth is better.
Oh,
There's
sure.
something there that's working that wasn't before. And if you want to win a playoff series, that's the shit you need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I absolutely agree. Like,
So yeah, I hate it. I hate the fact that I'm gonna go after we're done. I'm gonna go. I have to. Like the religious people, I gotta.
Holy water?
I'm gonna have to punish myself for saying this.
I thought you're just gonna put bleach in your eyes from seeing this. That's what I do. When
No, my eyes are bad enough.
Dicks in.
My eyes are bad enough. I'm not bleaching my eyes.
Another team that'd be interesting to talk about from a glass half empty perspective, who is still failing miserably, is the Ottawa Senators. It is time to blow shit up there. I'm
They
done.
just did a rebuild.
They need to rebuild their rebuild because it didn't
Okay,
rebuild
but-
right.
No, so let's say, are they following Buffalo's rebuild path?
Oh my god! They might be mimicking it to a T. They haven't made the playoffs since 2017. They're like mini Buffalo. At least Buffalo was showing some signs.
They're in
Although they're only 2 points up on them.
But Ottawa's like in year 7 or 8 of their rebuild. If you're
No,
not
I
there
mean-
by year 7 or 8, you did the rebuild wrong.
And I look at Ottawa too. They have the pieces in that forward core to Chuck, Norris, Stützle, Giroux, Pinto, who has been terrible, mind you.
Okay, let me just say this. Of the 4 players you named, I only respect one of them.
And that's Claude Giroux.
Yeah. The other 3, that's maybe what's wrong in Ottawa. It's the
They don't
players they
have
draft.
leadership. I absolutely agree.
It's the
They're
character.
a poor man's Toronto.
It's the
Brady
character.
Tkachuk
There's
is
no
not a
character
captain.
there.
He's not captain material.
I mean, he's second in the
absolutely
league
agree
at PIMS right now, I believe. Like,
Tkachuk, he's tied for
is he tied?
no,
He was
I
either
believe
tied with
he's
Zadorov or Zadorov passed.
They're
him.
tied. No, we looked it up in the Bruins podcast
Okay.
last night.
And
They're
as we
tied.
just mentioned, Zub just broke his foot. We mentioned that last week.
Zub, by the way.
Zub, fuck
Zub.
him. He sucks.
I made that mistake once, and I won't do it again because I was told a
Zub.
while back.
I feel like the ooh should be pronounced it. Zub. Ooh. But
I saw it in
it's
Zub, and then I was ridiculed.
That
for
sounds like ZEHB. Zub. But I don't know.
Zub makes more sense than Zub.
Yeah.
Zub, I thought was a weird name, but Zub, okay. I don't know where he's from, but he's not.
But now with Zub breaking his foot,
He's still
now
doing
they
it
need to
wrong.
look for some blue line help because he's one of their key top 4 defensemen.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a problem, right? No depth and character issues with their top players.
And then look at Corpy. This is a guy who was
Right, look
was
at
great in
the
Boston,
difference.
and he's battling what, an 886 save percentage in Ottawa?
He was horrible in Ottawa. He was horrible in Ottawa, and then Boston surprising the hell out of me. The guy's actually you can't make
Corpusalo
jokes
suddenly
about him
looks like
anymore.
a stud in Boston at the bare minute. He's like a 1B now.
I know you can't make jokes now. He was like totally ridiculous.
He
Went to
shut us
Boston.
out.
So it tells you there's something wrong in Ottawa. Obviously,
Mhm.
there's something wrong.
Oh yeah.
That's a perfect comp for it. It's just looking how the goalies have alternated in Boston and Ottawa. They need to blow it up. Trade Giroux, please. Send him to a contender. I know I rant about this almost every week we bring it up, but this guy deserves better. Please trade him elsewhere. I'm not saying Philly, even though I'd fucking cream if they did, but trade this dude to a contender. He does not deserve to rot in Ottawa.
Well, he's like their moral conscience. He's the only good, he's the only solid leader they've got. So do that. Imagine you get rid of a guy that's actually a good leader. Imagine how bad the team's going to fall apart even more. So, yeah, they got to, and it's a joke I make. It's funny because you said rebuild the rebuild. With the Habs, we're in a rebuild, right? And everybody's so upset and they want to fire this guy and get rid of this guy, bring in young guys. So I said, so you're not happy with the rebuild and your answer to fix it is to rebuild.
Rebuild the rebuilds.
Right?
That's
Which
the
is
new
what it
hashtag.
is. That seems to make sense to people, and I don't understand it.
No, you don't blow up what you guys got going in Montreal yet. It's way too early.
With Ottawa, it's 7 or 8 years. Okay, it's not working. You're probably better off to blow that up and start again than when we're in our third year. You don't blow that up.
You got to name a better captain. I'm sorry, your captain can't captain if he's in the penalty box half the fucking time.
That's right.
You know what I like? But yeah, I agree.
It's the wrong lesson for the rest of the team. It's just the wrong thing. If your captain is that undisciplined, there's something wrong. The rest of the team is going to be like that.
Yeah. No, 1,000%.
But any final thoughts before we move into Four Nation talk?
Yeah, my final thought is in the Atlantic Division has the best team in the NHL. Right there. It's unfortunately sitting
right at the bottom of it.
But I want to say this. I want to be serious and say this. Montreal's sitting, as of today, 31st in the league. I am happy with that. And you're going to say, well, how could you be happy? We're in the middle of a rebuild. And if we're not going to make the playoffs, and what we need is like a superstar kind of center, the only way we're going to get that guy is to be in the bottom 5. So, yeah, go Habs, go.
Yeah, if you get Higgins, that's a problem.
I don't know that Higgins is going to be the best guy. By the time we get to the draft, I don't know that Higgins is going to be number 1. I tend to think it's going to be somebody else.
I would, as a Flyers fan, if he would have fallen back into that, I'd love Misa. I know he's a left winger, but
yeah, you got.
Oh my God,
Misa. You got Misa. You got Martone, Martone. You got even a good defenseman. Can you believe this? I'm going to tell this little story. We picked David Reinbacher, and all Matt and I have received has been grief from Habs fans. And okay, now I'll say this too. We might have made a mistake, but we don't know that till Reinbacher hits. We don't know that. But I'm leaning towards, we might have. So yesterday in my game stream chat, somebody came out and said, but they're gonna have to pick best player available if they're got like in the bottom 5, and that guy's gonna be this whatever defenseman. And the guy, I'm happy if they pick a defenseman. And I went, what? What the fuck did you just say to me? After us taking 2 fucking years of grief, and now these idiots are gonna be fine if they take a defenseman in a draft that's got 3 or 4 maybe superstar centers, which is what we need.
We do too.
Isn't that stupid? I don't understand people sometimes. I don't understand that thinking. So, yeah, Habs, finish at the bottom. I'm good with that.
You know what? My final thought is we're in a wild card 2 spot right now, which I find insane because a month ago at this time, we were right where you are right now. We were literally dead last in the league after, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. And I was on fuck it, tank away, give me Higgins, give Mitchkov the center. And now look at us now. We're 8-2-2 in our last 12. And nothing makes sense. And this team
nothing makes sense anymore. It's true because that's parity, though.
And Ivan Fedotov suddenly looks like a number 1 goaltender. Now, I don't think he's going to last like that, but he's been phenomenal lately.
But that's parity. That's what parity means, is that this is what happens. They want it to be down to the wire where there's a lot of teams in the mix.
I like when I was making my argument last week, I'll keep it as simple as I think there's parity in terms of battling for playoff position. I don't think there's, like I said, I'll just say it one last time. I don't think there's parity in teams that I realistically look, and I know when playoffs begin, anything can happen. But from a realistic perspective, teams that I feel like that could compete for a championship. Like usually in the NHL.
That's not what parity is about, though. I get
know,
what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. No,
I
understand what you're saying, but I think parity is that separation between teams. There's still going to be teams on the bottom and teams on the top, of course.
Yeah.
But the gap is closer.
Yeah, well,
that's
my thing.
And the fact that they would go longer into the season with less teams out of it till later. That's also that's the goal. That's what parity does. All right, let's go. We've been an hour on this. Let's go to quick as we can. We're going to have to run through these four nations. Who's leading in on that?
Nordy, would you like to lead off and give you? Let's start with Finland. Good old Finland. Give me Finland? Who you would project.
Well, we have to. We have to. Okay, so we'll set it up. We have the projected. I think these are from a month ago, so they're the projected rosters, and nobody knows for sure the rosters yet because they won't be released. We're recording this on Monday, so Wednesday, but apparently they're handed in and everything already. And we're gonna look at them and I guess give you our opinions of, and maybe we think somebody shouldn't be there and somebody, and that's what we're doing here.
That's fair.
Here is Finland. Oh, I thought that would come out bigger. Okay. In blue, you see the guys that I think those were the first ones named right away.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys they're on the team. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that, there's no surprises there, obviously. No. Right. I mean, those guys are among, some of the best in the league. There really isn't much here I'd change. I mean, obviously, I'm not as well versed in Finnish hockey as a lot of people, but I mean, this looks about like what I would have. I don't think their final roster is really not going to be that much different than what we see here in front of us.
My only thing is they're all NHLers. You don't think it's one or two players will be guys that aren't in the NHL yet, or you think it's?
Well, again, I don't really watch a lot of the league. I don't really watch a lot of Liga, which is the Finnish pro league.
Yeah, I don't watch any. So,
but I mean, maybe there could be a player or two from that league, but again, I just think. I can't really see much deviation from this right here.
I tend to agree. I mean, they're NHLers.
I mean, it's a good roster right here. It is a really good roster.
It is. And I can't imagine anybody that's in Finland that I have not heard of that is better than all these guys. And also, it's not just all the best scoring stars. They want to have role players, too. You got to have the team set up right, or you're not going to win if you don't have the right players in the right spots. So, yeah, I'm going to say I can't add anything to that.
The only thing I could say, there's a few interesting cases to be made. If Patrick Laine didn't get hurt, I think he probably would find his way.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely over Armia, I think would be the perfect fit.
But that's like saying, like, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's obvious. And, I got to give a little bit of props to Kotkaniemi this year. He looks like he's been better.
No. Matt and I are not going to agree with you there. Right, Matt?
Oh,
nope.
God. I don't know.
Kotkaniemi's not even on this roster.
That's what I'm giving some names that, you think it could be competitive for some of these spots. And
he's not making it over any of those centers, bro. He's not making it over Hintz. He's not making it over Lindell.
I don't know, man.
I mean, maybe, but then he's a healthy scratch. Like, he's not starting over any of those guys.
Starting lineup. I'm just saying that you'd make the team. That's more what he's
having a decent season so far. I'll give that, but
yeah, he's got 13 points in, I think, 24 games? It's about a 45-point pace. It's respectable.
I don't know what Howla's doing, but I guess in that case, you could see him replace Eric Howla there.
That's maybe one of the two. Those may be the only two arguments I could make for potential change.
I gotta think there's still another Finn out there that's better than KK, but you might be right, so I'm not going to argue that.
But other than that, those are probably the guys I would go with. I might move Lehkonen up to the first pair over Granlund. I might move Lindell up to the 3C over Hintz.
Oh yeah, Lehkonen's there, right? Okay.
Yeah. Those are
I don't know about Lehkonen over
primary
Granlund.
changes I would make. But other than that,
I don't know about Lehkonen over Granlund, to be honest.
I mean, if Line when he returns this week, if he comes out of the gate hot, I mean, maybe
it's impossible. They already
Line
the rosters.
What happens if one of these guys is injured? Can they replace?
Well, yeah.
Well, that's what the healthy scratch is for.
What do you mean?
Well, they have 13 guys in the roster. If one guy gets hurt, you get the healthy scratch.
Yeah, but they'll also have reserves that if somebody say, for instance, Mikko Rantanen gets hurt, they'll have a guy in reserves that can fill the spot.
So
Line's probably in consideration for that. Obviously, we haven't seen him play.
I doubt it.
He comes out of the
played. No, he wouldn't because he hasn't played.
But if he comes out of the gate hot,
if in February when the tournament's going to happen, if somebody's down and they can take some, then I could say Line could be added at that point.
Right. No, that's what I mean. Yeah. Out. Especially like I said, if he comes out of the gate hot and does actually play well, yeah. I mean, I think whoever's in charge of Team Finland would be, it'd be a disservice if they don't at least give him a look at that time. If something like that were to happen.
You guys, before we started filming, said Canada's goalie situation is the worst one. I don't see this one as being that much better than ours. Saros isn't playing well right now. Kevin Lankinen, he's okay, but I mean, he's Chicago's goalie. It's not.
Pekka Luukkonen's good.
Okay, Ukko, Pekka Luukkonen, different. But he could be a little up and down, so you don't know. But I don't see that being that heads and not heads and tails above, but you know what I mean? Heads above Canada's goalie list.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But again, international hockey is different.
Are they going to be playing with how are the rules going to for this go?
International rules.
It is international? Okay. Yep. I wasn't sure since
you
they
sure
were
about that?
NHL arenas, but
yeah, right. In NHL arenas, are you sure it's going to be international rules? Not North American rules?
Well, it's not. It'll be under the international rules set, but I mean, obviously they're playing on.
Well, who's running it? The IIHF?
I
don't know. Actually, I'm gonna look that up.
If they're running it,
it's its own separate entity this year. I don't know if.
It depends who's putting this on. If it's run by the NHL, I think it'll be North American hockey rules. If it's IIHF, it'll be under their rules. Which is probably what it is. It's probably gonna be, but I mean, all of these guys play in the NHL.
Yeah. Right. Let's move to Sweden.
So again, in yellow. Those are the guys that were.
They're all NHL players.
They were named right away, but the yellow guy, they were named right away. When they named the first 6 players of each team, those guys are in
NHL rules.
So are they all NHLers? Looks like it.
I believe so. I don't think there's anyone here that's.
I'm reading the details right now, so they can only pick NHL players.
Okay,
I don't know what I'm reading, and it's under NHL rules, not IHF.
Okay,
that's because
that means they can fight,
which makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense because they're in North America.
They'll give them a round of fisticuffs.
This is a good team. I like this team.
This is real good team here.
This is a better team than Finland.
Oh yeah,
on paper.
I will say this: Zibanejad should not be the 1C because he has been bad this year.
It would probably be Pedersen, but Zibanejad's still really friggin' good. He'll probably play 2C behind Pedersen. But that center, those 4 centers that's still a really solid center core. You know what I mean?
Still top to bottom. I would probably, realistically, right now, if you would have asked me, I'd probably put Zibanejad at the 3C the way he's been this year. The rest of this, Elias Lindholm's technically a center, but they got him
Jesper
over.
Bratt's probably playing first line left wing. He's on a heater this season right now.
Yeah,
but helped me out
I
in
have no
fantasy a
issue
lot.
with that. I have no issue with that. And then Leo Carlson, he's been fantastic. The Ducks, in my opinion, made the right decision picking him over Fantilli. We questioned that at the time, and he looks like I think he more than deserves a spot. That decor too. Victor Hedman, a lot. Ekholm and Rasmus Dahlin on the left side.
It's a hell of a good D. Even Hampus Lindholm, he's going to be coming off injury though. But I mean, that's a good decor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's a very good decor.
Goaltending's pretty solid too.
But goaltending, it's good, but I don't see that either. Heads and tails above the other, like Canada or Finland. They are good, but I mean, you got Markstrom could be up and down. Allmark end up not having a good season right now.
He's playing in Ottawa.
In Ottawa, but how is that going to affect him? It might affect him here. His confidence.
I mean, he's going to have a much better decor in front of him on Team Sweden than friggin' Ottawa.
It's a confidence thing. And Gustafsson playing well right now, but again, it's not to me like heads above Canada. I see it as better. They're better than I like their goaltending better, but not crazy amount.
I mean, I never said their goaltending was heads and tails above Canada, but no, I mean, I think on paper it is better.
Yeah, it's better. I do agree. They definitely like what they have in net more too, as well. Although Allmark will finally have a competent deep core in front of him again.
Well, that's what I mean.
We'll see how much he plays too.
Markstrom's been good this year.
It's basically the top guy playing. It's not a long tournament.
Yeah.
The other two guys might not even play. Right?
We'll see how that goes.
Okay, which one, Canada or U.S. next? Since I got the controls, we're looking at U.S.
All right. You wanted to save Canada for last.
Save the best for last, man. Did you know that?
First of all, right off the bat, this is the best goaltending in the tournament.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not close. It's not. I like the deep pairs. I mean, McAvoy's kind of had a so-so season. But again, he'll be there. Obviously, he has already announced his name's in red. I love Hughes. I love Fox, Brock Faber. I mean, that's a good decor. Offensively, there's some grit there. There's also a lot of skill.
And you're led on center by Matthews. You're fucked.
There he goes. There he goes again.
Eichel will probably get the 1C because Matthews was injured.
Yeah,
Matthews will probably play 2C. But there's a lot of grit there. I mean, the Tkachuk brothers, they're going to cause problems. I mean, I love Clayton Clutch Kella. Kella's a great ad there on the wing. Boldy.
It's a good team. I'm not going to say it's not.
Really good team. That center core is really good. Even after Hughes, Larkin, Trocheck are both very good centers.
I mean, I think because of Hellebuck, especially, that makes you guys the favorites going in.
Yeah. Maybe Kyle Connor, too. Kyle Connor's had a really good year.
Yeah, I mean, you got a great forward group and a great defensive group. You guys definitely, skaters-wise, you have to, without a doubt, be the favorites for that. And then you add Hellebuck as your starter. And going in, I mean, you can't. He might have a bad tournament.
Even just that. I mean, having Andre and Swayman as the backups, it's not.
Swayman, Swayman, I don't think he's having a great year. But I don't know if you get to Swayman because it's Hellebuck.
No, but I mean, even still with Andre.
Yeah, I don't think you get to Swayman at all. So, but yeah, I just think that as much as I don't want to say it, but the U.S. has to be the favorite going in.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of guys you could say. There's so many American and Canadian players. I don't know if we got time to try to figure out, are there better guys to put in there? I don't know. These guys are all good. And, I don't know what, anybody you guys would switch up there?
I mean,
you could add another left defenseman. Maybe add like Lane Hudson in there on left defense and then have that two-headed monster on the power play. But, that's just me.
Yeah, it's just you. I I think Jake Sanderson should get it over John Carlson if you want my honest answer. I know Sanderson has had the best year.
I can agree there, especially because John Carlson plays so many minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, but you're looking at this guy as probably the seventh defenseman, and they want his experience.
I think Werenski should be the 2D over Slavin right now. He's been fantastic.
Okay, but Jacob Slavin has been, he's a great defenseman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you want to shut down the team, I mean that's a guy for that.
Oh yeah, I'm like obviously you're gonna play Slavin. I'm not saying take him off completely. I just would put Werenski there because he's been an all-around threat this year. But Slavin plays a better defensive game, no question.
Those three guys, but look at those three guys. It's like, okay, Quinn Hughes definitely on top, but Slavin, Werenski, I mean, it could go either, right? They're both good. Sure. They're both really good. I mean, you know.
No, for sure.
So
and even on the other side too, like McAvoy, Fox, Faber. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, again, even though McAvoy's been so.
Yeah, McAvoy's been so this year, but maybe he steps it up for this. All right, so we are not changing anybody. Let's take a look at Canada. Now that's a team. Look at our top three centers.
Look at that mid-goaltending core.
Crosby and Point. They're not going to need goaltending. They're not. There's going to be no shots against because those guys are so fucking good.
I don't know. Petrangelo's 1,000 years old now.
Tone it down, Rick. Tone it down.
Mackenzie Weegar is not what he used to be. He'll probably be healthy scratched.
So in terms of offensive firepower, that is a pretty scary lineup. I mean, even with Suzuki at the 4C, like, holy smokes.
Konechny will be on this lineup.
Yeah,
Marchand's got to take a lot of penalties.
Wasn't it between either Konechny or Suzuki? So if Konechny's there, Suzuki's not.
Most likely, yeah. It hasn't been like officially announced, but like the Flyers had a big get together in the middle of the ice today with Konechny, Sanheim, and Ristolainen. So
Konechny's
they're celebrating all three making the team. Travis Sanheim will be on this roster too. My guess over Mackenzie Weegar.
It would have to be. He's not making it over any of the other defensemen. Sorry, Ferd.
Although I will say Sanheim's been a number one defenseman this year. For sure. He's been sensational, but I wouldn't put him ahead of anyone except Weegar.
Yeah. But even if Konechny plays the wing, so Suzuki's probably still safe. And I think Konechny might make it over Bennett.
Oh, true.
I think a winger. Mark Stone is injured ass again.
Konechny's a winger. Without a doubt, that's true.
I think Mark Stone's injured ass is going to be the one.
Yeah, he's injured, so.
Yeah, it could be there too. You know, no, I mean that first line of however you want, McDavid, McKinnon, and I don't know whoever you
Hyman should be the one that LW. I will say that right now. I wouldn't put him as the one LW. I'd put Marchand there personally.
I'd take Marner out and put Konechny there. I don't
you don't want Marner there. He said.
I mean, Reinhardt's going to be the first. Well. He won't play, but still, that second line, Crosby, Reinhardt, and I don't know if you have Hyman there. Like, holy crap!
That's what I'd put. I'd put Hyman.
That's scary.
Can we talk about Brandon Hagel and how much he has been a force on Tampa Bay? That dude is getting the respect he deserves.
In
this lineup. He is a stud. He has completely revamped his game since he's arrived in Tampa.
By the way, one of the reasons why Canada's going to do better than you might think because of their goalies is that center group. And if you see, they're 5 deep there. That's their strongest position. And, you want to win, being strong at center makes up for a lot.
I wonder who ends up getting the 4C between Suzuki and Johnson. It's going to be close. I think it probably will be Suzuki, but
I personally think Suzuki deserves it.
No, honestly, biases aside, yeah. No, I agree. I think Suzuki's he's more experienced. He's a captain. What again? Johnson's no slouch. Wyatt Johnson's great.
I'm surprised Bedard isn't here.
Well, I'm not surprised. He's not playing well.
I mean, just for the namesake, that another name that's
you want to win. You want to win, or you want to have people for their namesakes?
I mean, they're going to win regardless. But I don't know if they'll win the whole thing because of the goaltending, but we'll see. Another interesting name off this list is Noah Dobson. No, he hasn't been what he was last year, but
Oh, true.
that's another name I figured you could say. Pietrangelo, I might consider Dobson over him.
Yeah, I don't like
Pietrangelo's a bit
Pietrangelo.
old.
I don't like Peter Angelo.
Yeah, Peter Angelo.
Peter Angelo.
But
Shifley's another interesting
Think
name
that
that's
way.
not on here. I put Shifley over.
I wouldn't watch. I'm glad he's not there.
You don't
Piece
like
of
Bart
shit.
Shifley, I know that.
Piece of shit can go fuck himself big time.
Yeah.
With a hockey stick sideways. That's what I say.
Imagine if Arbor was on
Rich
the
is
ice
not
for
like
that hit.
Trey-
I think Arbor would have literally beat him into a puddle of blood. No, not joking or anything. If Arbor Jacki was on the ice for that hit, I think he would have beaten Mark Shifley within an inch of his life.
Maybe.
Dead.
I don't know if it's a maybe. I mean, it would have. Tell you what, Shifley wouldn't mess with the Habs ever again. I still don't think he would anyway, but still, like.
He'd make sure every time he goes to pee, yes, I forget the jokes.
I don't know where you're going with this, Rick.
I don't know where I was going. I forgot the joke. That's what happens when you get old. All right, so we're good on this here.
Yeah.
Goaltending. Okay, we didn't look at goaltending. Binnington, Aiden Hill, Cam Talbot. You know, Binnington, I don't like him. I really don't. But as we just said against you guys, if he puts on a show like that, we're going to be okay.
It depends which Binnington you get.
Goaltending may be our weak link.
That dude, Binnington, is the biggest enigma in the league. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't know. Goaltending is our weak link.
Cam Talbot being the number 3 goalie for Team Canada is
I don't like
fucking hilarious.
No, at the beginning of the year, I think they had Montembeau as the starter.
But Montembeau fell off. So,
and we don't know we don't really know if Cam Talbot.
Cam Talbot should not see the ice. Aiden Hill, you can talk me into. Binnington, you can talk me into. If Cam Talbot is playing meaningful minutes for Team Canada, something went horribly wrong.
But for any of these teams, if the third goalie is playing, then something's gone wrong.
But at least the other teams, the third goalie is at least at the worst respectable.
But still, something's gone wrong if that third guy's playing.
Put Team USA back up. I want to look at something.
No, isn't Swayman the third?
We missed a big name.
Raymond for third goalie.
Yeah, get Chris Kreider the hell out of there and put Cole Caulfield.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He hates that.
Yeah, but it's not my team, so I don't care.
No, but Cole Caulfield, he's third in the league in goals right now.
Oh.
How does he not get a look?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
But we don't know. We don't know.
They're in the league in goals.
That's from a month ago, Matt. We don't know. That could
that
change.
was? Oh, okay. I didn't know how recent
that's from a month ago.
Because you got to think Cole Caulfield's getting a really good look
right
now.
So we'll know on Wednesday when they actually release, but I don't see why Caulfield wouldn't be considered. So anyway, we won't know. For some of these guys, they won't be there, and some.
You don't think Caulfield's going to make the team?
You guys will.
Is he on it on that picture?
No, but if that was from a month ago, right now he's tied for third in goals. He's one of the best goal scorers in the league right
that's
now.
Fair.
That's why give at least a look.
He's got a case.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see that.
They had a better season than Kreider, I'll tell you that much.
All right, listen, guys, we've been at this for an hour and 20 minutes. If we get into refs, we're going to be another half hour. We're going to have to push the ref talk.
You know what? Let's limit it to one thing. I want to talk because there is.
I fucking hate the refs. There's my one thing. They're corrupt.
One thing I want to bring up was something that happened in the Bruins-Penguins game a few nights ago.
Oh, damn it. I had the clip. It was.
You still have it?
No, I dropped it and I didn't upload it, so I don't have it.
That's all right. So I'll give a breakdown of what happened. And I just want everyone's opinion, then we'll move on from after that. So Nikita Zadorov was sitting on the bench for the Boston Bruins. He gave Evgeny Malkin, while he was on the bench, Malkin was standing there, a shove in the back with his stick. Wasn't anything malicious, but still, you put your stick on the ice, you hit a player in the game. Malkin, like the maniac he is, retaliating like Paul Bunyan and almost chopped his head off.
Oh, God, no. That's not what happened.
No, I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously.
Okay,
No,
please,
he
because that's
swung
not
his
what
stick
happened.
And
I don't
he
like
swung
Malkin.
his stick towards the bench, is what happened. But
Yeah, but he at the sticks and below the top of the boards.
yeah. But point being, he swung his stick at the bench. I was obviously
No,
exaggerating and having some fun with this because I
Yeah,
hated Kenny Malkin.
No, but that's no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Wow, Rick defended the refs.
Yes,
But no. So here's my point. A similar situation happened last year between our two teams when Caden Gooley gave Travis Konechny a little whack. His was a little more like, what's the word I'm looking for? With
a little
purpose.
more dangerous because Konechny was skating by. He was moving, and that could have been a little more dangerous.
Gooley gave a slash.
Yeah.
And hit Konechny in the hands.
And,
Caden Gooley got suspended.
The arm, somewhere on the arm, he hit him. But
something like that.
It was stupid
Caden
of him
Gooley
to do.
Ended up getting a 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
And in this case, Nikita Zadorov, now mind you, there wasn't any maliciousness in the play, but he still hit him with the stick. He still interfered with a play with that was going on when you're sitting on the bench. And
the game was going on. That's the very important. I wanted to say you should have said that. The game was happening.
Yes, it wasn't like the end of a play. The game was going on.
Yeah.
What do you guys believe? First of all, do you agree with the NHL's decision, the D.O.P.S, as we like to call them?
I rarely do.
The decision on the punishments here, which only was a $5,000 fine for both sides, after seeing what we saw last year with the Konechny Gooley situation. So let me ask you guys first before I give my opinion.
Well, obviously, they probably both should have got a game.
I agree.
Although Malkin, and I don't like Malkin, so I'm definitely not sticking up for him. But it was really it wasn't a vicious swing. I could see Zadorov getting a 1 game just for what he did. You can't do that. Just like Gooley got the 1. TK came back at Gooley a bit. He got nothing, and he shouldn't have got anything. Gooley got the suspension. And I think in this case, Zadorov should get a suspension of 1 game. Don't be an idiot on the bench.
So this isn't the same as us showing a clip, but I'm going to try to pull something up on my phone that shows the play. So
you got it? I'll put you as a full screen.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull it up right now, and I want you guys to see this. I'm just going to put my phone on the screen. I want you guys' opinion on this. So here's what happens here. As I hit play.
You'll see Zadorov pushes.
So watch here. Subscribe that crap. So watch here. Zadorov gives him a little shove with the. Okay, all right. We're gonna. Oh, here we go. Zadorov gives him a shove with his stick, and Malkin swings the stick back.
Oh, it was over the boards. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
So, looking at the clip there that you just saw, sorry for the slight delay with the video I pulled up.
Both 1 game suspensions.
Here's my case. I think Zadorov deserved a game. I think Malkin deserved 3. And here's why. This isn't Malkin's first offense doing some shit like this. He went full lumberjack style, much worse than this back in the late 2010s. I believe it was 2018 on Michael Raffl. Almost took his head off. He swung that shit like a baseball bat.
Yeah, no, I remember
around. Missed him, thankfully. He got a game for him. And Malkin's got a rep with the Department of Player Safety. If it was up to me, I know he didn't make any real malicious swing, but he still swung his stick with some level of significant force. If you ask me, I think Evgeny Malkin should have got 3 games. 1, for the sheer fact of his retaliation was still moderate. Wasn't over the top. He's done worse with this, but moderate. And number 2, you swing your stick at guys on the bench, which is absurd to begin with. And number 3, you have a history. Malkin's been suspended before, I think at least twice. Once for a very similar instance to this with Michael Raffl 6 or 7 years ago. When you do this shit, you give no sympathy from me. I think Malkin should have got 3 games for this because it was reckless And if he got someone in the face, thankfully he didn't. But if he did get someone in the face here, this could have been a lot worse than what we saw. And, Zadorov, I think, should get a game for instigating the whole thing to begin with. It wasn't anything crazy, and I don't think Zadorov's got that bad of a rap sheet, if any. I don't know off the top.
Oh, he's been suspended.
He has or has not?
Oh, he has.
He has?
He's a dirty player.
Yeah, okay, so I'll take your word for it. Even so, if he's been suspended, this wasn't anything egregious, but it stands by the point of consistency with what happened last year.
Yeah.
If you touch a player on the ice with your stick with any intention, I don't care if it's malicious or not, the principle of the matter is there needs to be a standard set for that. That bullshit is not allowed. That should have been a game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would still say one game each.
Matt, your opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're on the bench, keep your hands to yourself.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's pretty plain and simple. If you hit someone from the bench, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's a penalty, and I mean, if it's something like a love tap, I'll call it. Like happened with Zadorov. Probably not suspension, but I mean, yeah, if you slash someone or whatever, and yeah, I mean, there should be a suspension, but a fine, at the minimum, a fine. Like if you're on the bench, keep your hands to yourself.
So the punishment was a $5,000 fine.
No.
What about Malkin? What's your take on him? Should he have gotten anything?
Probably a fine.
So you agree with the call from the Department of Player Safety, because that's what they both got, was a $5,000 fine.
Nope.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Like I said, that was my opinion on this. I don't care if it's malicious or not, if it's a love tap or if it's a swing. If it's worse than a love tap, and especially if you have a history, I think you should get more than a game. But
100%.
For Gooley's case last year, he didn't have a history. He did slash.
No, the one game was fine.
I
didn't have an issue with that. Yeah.
And in this instance, Zadorov, he didn't slash him, but he instigated the whole thing, and you interfere with a play live. Whether you hit someone or not, the point being is you interfere with a play live while you're on the bench and not even on the ice.
Right.
That's the principle of this to me. When you do something like that, you deserve a game automatically, in my opinion.
No, 100%. He should get a game, but I think Malkin, I mean, it was kind of innocuous. He wasn't two-handed, so I still only give him a game.
So our final results here. Nordy agrees with the fines. Rick, a game each. Me, a game for Zadorov, 3 for Malkin. Let us know in the comments if you have any opinion on this. Maybe you think that there should be a different punishment. Maybe there should have been no punishment at all. Maybe you think one of them should have had the book thrown at him, as Tisby said in his example. Let us know. Maybe there's something there that you see that we don't. But, yeah, with that being said, that's going to probably wrap things up for this week.
Definitely going to.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys joining us. We had a great time this week talking about the Around the League talk. And tune in next week. We are going live for our 50th episode. It's going to be an exciting one. We're going to be doing some giveaways. Take a look at Cam's tweet, Goosey1994 on his Twitter account. He's given out some advertisements for it. Take a look at our DPWM Twitter. We'll be advertising on there.
And on Bluesky.
Yep. And on Bluesky as well. Take a look there. We'll be advertising on Bluesky as well. Watch for us. It's going to be exciting. But with that being said, we look forward to seeing you guys next week for our 50th episode. It's going to be an exciting one. But take care, everyone. Have a good night. Stay safe. And we will see you next week.
Ciao, everybody.